Well, at the risk of potential spoilers for Non-League to Legend, we go to a new schedule on Backing the Boro starting tomorrow. Backing the Boro is now in the 4 p.m. slot every day, Monday to Friday. So, this is likely to be the last Sunday Backing the Boro. But 4 p.m. tomorrow, the previous Non-League to Legend slot. We're in there. We've joined the big time, everybody. Backing the Boro is a weekday show now. What do you call this show? Hello and welcome to part 91 of Backing the Boro. I'm Kevin. Coming up on today's episode, we are away against Sheffield United and at home against Exeter, both in the Championship. And since you were last with me, a couple of things have happened. First, we've discovered how to win games, albeit the Kev way. We beat West Ham 5-4 away after having our left back sent off in the 28th minute. And it was a ridiculous game. We went 1-0 up, 1-0, 2-1. Left back off, 2-2, and then 3-2, 3-3, 4-3, 4-4, 5-4. We just did not give up in that game. We kept going ahead. They kept pinning us back. And in the end, 10-man Nuneaton went away to West Ham and won for the first time at this level ever. And we followed that up with a 4-3 win at home to Birmingham. We're scoring goals. We're also conceding one heck of a lot of goals. If we have a little look, that table doesn't show us. I want the one that shows us the actual goals scored, goals against. There we go. So we've scored 13, conceded 13, which isn't as bad as Fulham, who are a couple of places above us in the league, who've scored 14, conceded 14, but we are conceding a lot of goals. But I'm going to blame that on an injury crisis at the back. If we just narrow this down to our first team players, you'll see Brandon Hughes, our first choice centre-back, is injured. He's out for the next 3 weeks or so. Jermaine Sawyer? Joshua Sawyer. Who the heck is Jermaine Sawyer? Joshua Sawyer. He was injured. He's not injured now, so we've just had a 2-week international break, but he was out for 3 weeks. We haven't really had a first-choice centre-back partnership for a little while, so on deadline day, I went and did some panic signings, and full disclosure, I signed both of these without scout reports. They were the two. This was the process I went through. I asked my director of football for centre-backs who we could sign on loan, and then signed the two oldest ones because assumed that would mean they were the ones who were most likely to be able to slot straight into our team. So we've got Kieran James on loan for the season from Millwall, who's 26, 3-star current ability. He has been playing regular football, League One last year. He's played a couple of games in Millwall for the Championship, already this year. I find it a bit weird that they've let him go. He's almost as good as Sawyer and Hughes, apparently, but not fit because he's just also coming back from an injury. I'm a genius. And then we've got Eduardo Flores, who's 20, on loan from Derby, 2.5-star current ability, but 4.5-star potential. He was on loan at Bromley last year in the National League, where he played every game, and he's almost as good as Jake Laskowski, apparently. But we're going to go with him today to have a little look at him. So this is the team that we're putting out there for the game away against Sheffield United. We've got Mitchell in goal, a back four of Anderson, Flores, Sawyer and Ibrahim, with Fletcher, Johnson and Skelton in midfield, and Ball in behind McDonald and Weaver. We are now in a position with our loan players that we're having to limit the ones that we're using. So we've got James and Richardson, who are not even able to be in the squad today, because we now have 7 players at the club who are here on loan. So, and we're only allowed 5 in our matchday squad. So we've got 4 starting. Alex Barber's on the bench. So if James or Richardson are ever going to get anywhere back near the team, it's going to be at the expense, presumably, of Flores. Because I can't see me taking Ibrahim, Skelton, Fletcher or Barber out of our regular first team squad, because they've all been such important players for us for so long. But let's get into the game. All 4 of our strikers are scoring goals. The one who's looking most out of his depth, which is really surprising, is Dan Fisher. Everybody else looks like they're settling into this level really comfortably. Certainly, I had major question marks over Ricky German and Josh McDonald before the season started. They've both been superb when they've played. Lee Weaver he's the best striker at the club. I think we have all made our peace with that now, that Weaver's the man when it comes to scoring goals. But Fisher, I'm starting to get a little bit worried about that maybe the Championship's not for him, which would be a real shame. As of everybody, he's the closest to breaking our all-time record goal scorer record again. So it would be nice if he decided that he was going to be good in the Championship, but he might not be. He might be the man who kind of drifts down the pecking order as somebody younger emerges, and Dan Fisher's best days might be behind him. But you know how we are in this save. Backing the Boro is all about loyalty, and if there's one thing we do, it's we give people opportunity. So he's not going to be replaced and binned off anytime soon. So he's going to be knocking around the club at least for the next couple of years to get the opportunity to prove that he deserves to be here. So if he is going to come good at this level, he'll certainly get the chance to do exactly that. But we're 1-0 down after 12 minutes. We're not that concerned about that. It's an away game. I know we've just had a couple of very good results that were mad games off camera. But as you can see, Sheffield United are top of the league. We have had a horrifically difficult first 5 or 6 games at this level. So for us to be sat mid-table ahead of the Kev ratio after the first 6 games that we've had, I would have been happy coming out of this 6 games with 2 points. So even if we lose against Sheffield United today, we come out of these 6 games with 7 points. It's a massive overachievement. It keeps us well away from the relegation battle right now. And it's an extra 5 points on the board that we didn't really expect to have. So let's just go on and lose. Who cares? We've got nothing to lose. That's the important thing. Nothing to lose. We'll attack. And we might just cause another little upset like we have in our last couple of games. I'm becoming more confident about how we might get on in the Championship this year. He says, as the second goal goes in, with no real fight from us at all. We've not had a shot on target yet. We've only had 1 shot in the entire game so far. So I probably need to not get a little bit too big for my boots. But like I say, this is a game we're not supposed to win. We're playing Exeter next, I think. Exeter are a team that you would expect us to win against. Exeter at home. Exeter currently find themselves, I mean, they are above us in the league, actually. So I might be judging this based on real-world current reputations rather than where Exeter are in games. So I don't think they were in League One with us last year. So they're more established at this level than we are. But even so, I think they're a team that we should be able to go out there and beat, even if they've just got relegated from the Premier League and I haven't noticed they were up there. Right, Mitchell, big ball forward. Johnson picks it up in midfield and it's with Fletcher. Fletcher over to Skelton, back to Johnson, to Ibrahim. Look, we're knocking the ball around. Ibrahim, ball over the top. Weaver hesitated a little bit. I don't know if he was worried about being offside. He wouldn't have been, I don't think, but the hesitation allowed the Sheffield United keeper to get there in plenty of time, and any threat that there was on that move was nipped in the bud by Weaver's hesitation. And Sheffield United come up the other end and grab their third goal. It's 3-0 on the 28-minute mark. And I don't think today is going to be another one of those games where we play really well and can give ourselves a pat on the head. Maybe this international break was the absolute worst thing that could have happened for us, because we've had a little bit of time to let our momentum fizzle out. We were still riding high on getting promoted from League One, which got us through the first few games with some good performances, even though the results didn't go our way. We then got a couple of good results, despite some pretty iffy, certainly defensive performances. Robbie Nadat sat there thinking, you know what, this fella's already conceded more goals than I ever did. I might be back in this team before long. And he might be right, because Mitchell, although he talks a good game, and you lot seem to like him in the comments the other day, but every shot that goes towards his goal ends up in the back of the net. So if that's how things are going to be, we may as well have Robbie Nadat in there, although he often has a way of the ball not being anywhere near the goal and still ending up in the back of the net. So I guess we'd perhaps be 4-0 down with Nadat in goal. Despite the fact, I mean, they've had 2 clear-cut chances, scored 3 goals. We were telling a different story in that first game where Mitchell seemed to be keeping the score respectable, but today, not so much. And I don't know that our ongoing goalkeeper problems are solved with this fella that we've got at the moment. Anderson, dispossessed. He had 4 Sheffield United players around him because they recognise he is a modern day hero. And look at Anderson tracking back, doesn't get there obviously, but he gave it a good go, and then he does get the tackle in finally. He ran like 3/4 of the length of the pitch to come back with a last ditch goal saving tackle, because Joe Anderson is a legend. I don't understand how he's not in the favoured personnel list of this club. He's been our captain since non-league. He's still playing regularly from the Conference North up to the Championship, and he still looks good doing it. So how is Joe Anderson not on favoured personnel? Someone contact Sports Interactive and ask what a left-back has to do to be considered favoured personnel, because it seems the only way to get on that list is to score 20-plus goals in a season. If you score 20 goals, I mean, Bradley Fuster is on that list. He played for us for one season as our third choice. He was never a regular starter, but he got some goals from the bench. He got above that 20-goal mark. That gets him on favoured personnel. So Tom Elliott plays 300 and odd games, doesn't get on there. Well, he eventually did with his testimonial. Anderson, 350-plus games. Most of them as captain. Multiple promotions, doesn't get on there. Silly. We need something other than goals and, I guess, average ratings to decide if a player's favoured personnel or not. If they're playing 300 or 400 games for a club, you got to think that the club kind of like having them around. If anyone can name a player who's played 350 plus games for their club who wasn't a fan favourite by the end of it, who wouldn't at least get on the favoured personnel list, then I would be very surprised, because if you play that many games, the fans take a bit of a shine to you. Alright, 3-1, half an hour to go. It's not all over. You know what we're like in these situations. Sawyer's struggling a little bit. It's his first game for a little while, and I've kind of thrown him back in a little bit earlier than I normally would have done, because we don't have much in the way of other options. Laskowski's been playing while Sawyer's injured, and that's when we've conceded 9 goals in 2 games. But we can't take him off. We've got no one on the bench. Ollie Longden's a midfielder who can play centre-back. I don't really want to be entertaining that in a game like this. So we're going to bring on Ricky German, swap Weaver back to being the target man, and we're also going to bring on Alex Barber for Skelton, and we'll leave it there for now. There's some poor performances in that back four today, but they know we don't really have any backups. Lang might come on maybe for Ibrahim. I don't know if that's a particularly positive change to be making, other than the fact that I guess our fullbacks create all of our width going forward, so it probably is an area it's worth freshening up occasionally. Ricky German just doing little tricks there, completely ineffective. Right, here's Ibrahim pushing forward on the right hand side. Cross comes into Weaver, and it's straight at their keeper. It wasn't straight at their keeper at all. That's really unfair. It was a good save. It was probably going wide, but still, let's make that change, because it's the only real change we can make in that position. Or in any of the defensive positions, any of the wide areas. Just give us a bit more energy, get into some crossing positions. Lang's a lot more attacking than Ibrahim is, so he might just get a little bit further forward. But really, with 5 minutes to left against the top of the table team away from home, I think we're being a little bit hopeful, thinking there might be any kind of way to get us back into this game. It probably isn't happening, and in fact, a cross comes in, but Mitchell does collect this one. It's actually been, based on our second half performance, fairly even in this game. Sheffield United have had more shots, but we've had the same amount on target as them. We've had the same amount of clear-cut chances. They've had a lot more half chances, which I guess is where stuff like that's coming from. And they've edged possession a little bit. I think it's another one where we've given it a good go, but we've just come up against players who are just much better quality than we are. To give some context of the kind of teams we're up against, and Sheffield United are obviously up there, top of the league, challenging with the best of them. But when we got the end of the transfer window summary thing come through, the top spenders in the division were Norwich, who spent £29.5 million on transfers this summer. And we're trying to compete in that league. So when we play against the better teams in this league, obviously, more often than not, we are going to get thumped like we have been today. But I think, although we've been thumped, we've put up a good fight. And like I said before, 6 games in, we're on 7 points. If we maintain that points to games ratio all season, we're not in danger of getting relegated. Now we need to go and beat Exeter, please. Right, a couple of changes made for the Exeter match. Longden comes into the midfield, Lang comes in at right back, and Parker comes in goal, because I'm not at all amused with Jonathan Mitchell. I know I'm going to get some heat for this one, but can I just point out, 6 games played, 17 goals conceded. I don't remember this man making a save. So let's see if we can fare a little bit better with Parker back in goal. The route is opening back up for the glorious return of Robbie Nadat. He is third choice keeper, but you never know. If Parker shows that he's good, it makes more sense to have Nadat on the bench as Parker's reserve than Mitchell. We're not doing that today because Mitchell might just be having a 1-game rest if Parker's a disaster at this level. But if Parker confirms himself as regular first choice keeper like he was last year, then there's no point having a 33-year-old sat on the bench when we've got Robbie Nadat with all his potential still sat down there. Because remember, Robbie Nadat's still only like 21 years old, still has 4.5-star potential. The reason he's been rubbish is because we've been playing a 17-year-old in goal and an 18-year-old. They're always going to be a bit rubbish. But, you know, we'll get him in. Eventually, we're losing. And I don't know if we can blame Parker for this, but similar situation to with Mitchell, he didn't look like getting anywhere near it. I think it's going to be one of those seasons where our goalkeeper's going to look rubbish regardless, whoever it is, because we're going to give our opponents so many opportunities to shoot. McDonald crosses to Weaver, who tucks it away, and it's an almost immediate reply, and it's McDonald teaming up with Weaver. It comes down the left-hand side, as usual, because that's the side Joe Anderson plays on. Longden, new in the team today, plays it back to Anderson, who it's a beautiful ball to slot in McDonald, who crosses perfectly for Weaver to tuck away. And Lee Weaver, more than anyone, does not look out of place at all at this level. I think if we do have a season as bad as the media would have you believe, Lee Weaver is staying in the Championship next season regardless, because he looks like a Championship level striker, and I don't see how we keep him if we go down. McDonald holding the ball up well, back to Johnson, finds Longden, back to Johnson again, to Ball, over the top towards Skelton, who's in a crossing position, comes across to Weaver, who doesn't quite get hold of it. He wanted to take one touch too many, really. He should have just been putting his foot through that first time. Tried to take a little bit longer than he was going to be allowed. But we continue to build. It works all the way across the back four, and we give it away in midfield and give Exeter a shot, but they luckily don't do anything with it, and the highlight ends. We seem to be edging this game a little bit at the moment. 62% possession. We've had the only clear-cut chance of the game. Exeter kind of got their goal against the run of play. They might be about to get another one here, and that would be sickening, but Parker collects from the cross. They have had 4 half chances, though, to be fair. But we are absolutely dominating possession, presumably because Exeter are letting us. They're a team who are predicted to be in the relegation battle with us. Presumably they're lining up with a pretty defensive counter-attacking type system, and there's a big long ball forward for a counter-attack, and they're through on goal and they square it to the other fella. It's dirty when teams do that. It's like playing FIFA online, but why wouldn't you? They could have just taken the shot at Parker. He tried to make himself big to stop the shot. And I don't know that we can blame the keeper here. I think you have to blame, is that Sawyer, who should be marking this guy. Between Sawyer and Ibrahim, no, it's not. It's what's his face at right back today, isn't it? Whose name I can't remember. No, it's gone. But between the two of them, they should have been covering that. I'm not going to blame Ibrahim because he sat on the bench. McDonald does well again to win the ball back in their penalty area. The cross is a little bit too high for Weaver, though. Lang at right back. There you go. I knew it was somebody. Just couldn't remember who. I think we should be rightfully feeling very hard done by at half-time to be behind in this game. And this is going to be our downfall this season. The fact that even when we are controlling a game and looking like the better team, unless our strikers are in scintillating form and scoring every time the ball comes near them, because we concede so many goals, we make it hard for ourselves. And I just don't see how we get around that without fundamentally changing the system. We have got Owen Craigan knocking around, who we've tried a couple of times playing in a diamond as a defensive midfielder. He's the only defensive midfielder we've got at the club, but he's a very good one. And it's something we might need to do to just try and stop some of these goals flying in. You might be seeing a diamond in the next episode. We've not got Craigan on the bench today, so we can't even experiment with it for the rest of this match. But Skelton finds McDonald, and that's a lovely little finish from Josh McDonald. And he runs off, tapping his belly whilst rubbing his head, or whatever way around you're supposed to do it. That's what that celebration looks like. Let's see if we get it from the other angle. Skelton did really well here, but it's a lovely little deft control and finish from McDonald. And there he goes with the pat in the head, rubbing the tummy thing. Good work, Josh. 2-2. Now let's go and prove that we've been the better team in today's game and go on and grab a win, because I think we deserve it, even though our defence is rubbish. Weaver in the wide position now, can't get past his man. Ever since I talked about Lee Weaver looking good, he's been a bit rubbish. And again, we're hit on the counter-attack. And again, we don't put up any resistance at all. We have to attack consistently for 10 minutes and pepper their goal with chances. before we can grab a goal and then celebrate it like we've won the lottery. They get one opportunity from a long ball forward and score because we offer no resistance. It just seems that at will they can just lump the ball forward and grab a goal, and they only feel the need to do that when they're not ahead in the game. And it's very frustrating that they're just clearly operating with a higher quality of player to what we are. Right, Bull's not playing very well. We have got Christopher Ward on the bench, who I think, is he one of our new ones this summer or last summer? We signed him last summer, so he's an attacking midfield player who is slowly improving. He's got lots of potential, almost up to the level of Albert Richardson, who obviously can't be our backup attacking midfielder at the moment because we have too many other loan players. We may as well just send him back. I'm also going to bring on Ibrahim for Lang, because Lang isn't playing very well at all. And we're going to bring on Ricky German just to show Lee Weaver that he can't lower his performance levels as much as he has in like half a game since I was talking about how good he is. And hopefully we can go and grab an equaliser from somewhere. It's still not a disaster on the Kev ratio if we lose. We'll still be on 7 points from 7 games, but I feel like this is possibly one of those games where we should have got something out of. And it ain't happening because it's now 4-2. They've had one clear-cut chance in the entire game and scored 4 times. We've had 3 clear-cut chances and only scored twice. I know that doesn't tell the whole story, but it does tell a story of just how poor we are at the back, and how if our strikers aren't all in wonderful form, we are just going to get thumped again and again and again. And until I can fix this defence, I don't know really what the solution is. And we ain't fixing the defence anytime soon because we have no money to do it with. McDonald plays German in, and Ricky German, I think that was across the line. I mean, as it says in the commentary at the bottom, German perhaps should have done something other than kick it straight at their keeper and anywhere even slightly to the side of him, and he scores there. But he used such power, it still almost forced it over the line, and now German misses a sitter. And this is what I mean. If our strikers are going to miss chances like that, then we've not got hope because we are going to concede goals. Is this number 5 now? We've had 4 clear-cut chances. They've had 1, and we're losing this game. It's the mugging of the century, but it's completely self-inflicted because we basically are playing without a defence. We may as well just not pick any defenders and just try and score even more goals. Much work to do. And of course, that work continues in the new slot for Backing the Boro, 4 p.m. on weekdays. So we'll be back with this series tomorrow. If you have enjoyed that, please make sure you leave a nice big thumbs up on there for me. Subscribe to the channel for daily Football Manager videos. And thank you very much for watching.